Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, it's 𝗙𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗏. Thanks for coming. So in today's video, this is something that I came across, and as an African, I need to speak about it because it needs to be talked about. So let's fast watch some of these clips and then we can talk about it.
If you could be any race other than the one you currently are, which would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know. How can I be? I don't know how to be anything other than black, so.
What's one thing that you take pride in about being black?
Well, my dad's Ethiopian, so one thing that I do have that a lot of black Americans don't have is a sense of knowing where you come from, so I do take pride in that.
African Americans really do not embrace their culture.
Yes, they do. It's just not your culture. You can't tell a group of people that have been in a specific place 400 years, have helped build it, shape it, mold it, democratize it, that they don't have a culture. Honestly, you don't have the agency, education, or wherewithal to do something like that. African American people have their own distinct, unique culture. While that culture can point back to Africa, it is not distinctly African because it is made to assimilate within the standard of America. Just like any diasporic African in any other part of the world, like Jamaica, Trinidad, the Dominican Republic, South and Central America. Yes, the culture and the traditions can point back to Africa, but they're not African. They're distinctly for those people that live in that specific place. African American people have set the global standard for most entertainment when it comes to music. Hip hop, jazz, country music, rhythm and blues, all founded, made better, and appreciated by African American people. One of the most consumed foods in the United States is Southern cuisine that was made popular by enslaved African Americans and made better by enslaved and freed African Americans. Inventors, entrepreneurs, movie and sports stars all paving the way and making things better for African American people throughout the foundation of this country. And if that's not culture, what is culture to you?
One thing that I do have that a lot of black Americans don't have is a sense of knowing where you come from.
Yeah, as an African, but more specifically, as an Igbo man. We gotta kill that disrespectful narrative. Without even getting to the cultural impact of African Americans around the world, a lot of the perceived differences that we talk about so often aren't unique to us. They're just a first generation versus American thing. Back to Africans specifically, so many of our parents came to the US because they got admitted to HBCUs. So, come on. Now on the specific point of knowing where we come from, I think more of us need to remember that life didn't start in our village. When humanity began, your tribe probably didn't exist. So there is a really good chance that you don't know exactly where you come from. Especially when you consider that many of our ancestors probably joined our respective tribes because of conquest. Then if you go toe-to-toe with a lot of black Americans on lineage, you're probably not making it past your great-grandfather. They're going hundreds and hundreds of years. I say all that to say there's nothing wrong with knowing where you come from in the US. Like if folks say they come from Texas or Georgia, they come from Texas or Georgia, and that's cool. There's a good chance you come from a town in Africa that had its name changed by colonizers.
Okay, so there's something I've been noticing within the African American community, and it's getting pretty bad. I've noticed that a lot of African Americans only want to learn about African culture when it's directly benefiting them. Only when someone is calling out an African American about possibly stealing another people's culture do they then start looking up different cultures of African countries to then say, well, my ancestry could have possibly been stolen from that country, so that could have possibly been my culture, thus I'm not appropriating it. I've seen this with so many different things, from braids to blonde hair to sticks in your hair to waist beads to religions. And I understand some of these things could have definitely been part of some African Americans' ancestry's culture, but why is it when it's directly benefiting you that you find the need to look these things up? I can tell you now, a lot of Africans would be so happy to know that non-African black people are looking up their culture and want to learn more about them. It's amazing. I understand why that bridge was made between African Americans and Americans, but we're a lot more than an excuse.
Well guys, as you've seen in the video, this is an African woman who was asked if she could be anything else, who she could be. And of course she loves being black. That's what she knows, and she's proud of that. She has that pride in her because her dad is from Ethiopia, and she was trying to say, oh, I love that I'm Ethiopian, I know where I come from. And yet again, she as an African had to involve black Americans in the conversation. As an African, I'm like, why did you even have to involve black Americans? The question wasn't about black Americans. The question was about you having pride in being a black person. Why involve black Americans? Because I don't understand why Africans, or we Africans, think that Black Americans don't have a sense of belonging or they don't know where they come from. Why do we have to think that? It makes no sense. I don't know why we would feel that we as Africans have a culture that other people don't have, especially when it comes to African Americans. For example, we have been separate for a very long time as people, and yes, I would say that Africans have a culture that is, that has been there through the beginning of time, but it was still also distracted by what happened in the history of the African conquest through the colonization or even tribes coming along and attacking other tribes, for example, to take people from different places to other places. So we cannot fully say that our culture is also kind of the original. It's just that it has been the most dominant. But for us Africans to come out and act like African Americans don't have a culture, it's absurd, and I don't accept that. I feel like it's coming out from an ignorant place, because if you look at the things that most of us do today, apart from the traditional, let's say traditional part of culture, most things that we usually admire are from African Americans. And also, as Africans, you need to understand that for you to leave your countries of Africa and go to, let's say, United States, for example, or Europe, it is because our enslaved African ancestors built and put foundations for us to be able to go to Americas or Europe. Like, they built those infrastructures, put cultures, and put a sense of belonging that we as African descendants are able to go in those places and feel home and embrace a new culture to go and live in those countries of the white man. I don't know why it's so easy for us to say that. It's insulting. It's like you're saying they don't know how to dress, they don't know how to eat, they don't know how to express themselves, they don't know how to be in an environment. If you are able to live in an environment, it means you have a sense of belonging, you have people that you found and a culture that you're following. So why do we as Africans have to say it so bluntly without any emotion and making it seem like, oh, my dad, my mom is from Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, oh, I have a sense of belonging, these guys don't have it. What is it even equivalent to? Like, guys, help me understand. Am I the one who doesn't understand English very well? And also, the lady that said that African Americans want to learn about Africa when it's beneficial to them. Maybe, I'm not trying to defend anybody, but the fact is, our ancestors that were taken, they came from different parts or different tribes, and then they had to come together and work together as a people. For example, when African Americans come out and they want to reclaim, let's say, a traditional wear, or they want to cook a certain food, or they want to probably go to a certain tribe and reclaim that, I don't think it's coming from a bad heart. It's more of trying to connect to the motherland. And yeah, it comes out as being opportunistic, maybe, but what do you want them to do? As Africans, what do you want them to do? Because I need to also look into myself, that I was able to grow and be born in the motherland, that I have these things already taught to me since I was a child. I know how things have been, or how my tribe is, or how we behave, or how we act. So when they try to come and try to reclaim what they lost, I don't think it's coming from an opportunistic place. And that is the only way they can truly or fully do it. So I don't really like when we come out and try to put these things amongst us. It's just absurd that we have a generation of young Africans, or we Africans, that think that it's we that have the culture, and other people or African descendants, whether in Europe, Asia, United States, or South America, that their culture is not culture. So what do they have if they don't have a culture? Make it make sense. Let's not just come out to talk about our cultures in the ways that to demean ourselves or other people's cultures. Let's respect what we've already built or what we've kept and make it better, but not to come and degrade other people to make us feel good. We Africans don't even have our full culture. So it doesn't make sense. We are governed by other people. Our own resources were named after other people. Even today in Uganda, mountains, rivers, lakes, schools, roads are named after colonizers. So which culture are you talking about that we have that these people don't have? We still have the same kind of corrupt culture. We all have our faults, but to come out and act like we are special than the rest or we are better than the rest, it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Also, I'm not trying to say she said whatever she said from a bad heart, but is it true that we Africans think Black Americans, African descendants don't have a sense of belonging just because they are not back into the continent? Huh? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, please subscribe, support the channel, and yeah, you can follow me on Instagram as well. The links are in the bio. You can support the work I do. The links are in the bio. Talk to me. The links are in the bio. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.